What is it about drug addiction, especially with musicians? Um, is it too big for God to handle? What do you think? Let's talk about that today in your morning cup of inspiration. You know, it's interesting because I was reading a story on Alice Cooper, and he talked about how he was doing a bunch of cocaine. He was actually ODing on cocaine. And when he looked in the mirror, I don't know what else he was on. He said, but when he looked in the mirror, he thought he saw blood coming out of his eyes. And he was actually hallucinating, but he cried out to God. And God met him there. God was big enough for that. But a lot of people don't want to turn to God in that situation, or in even other situations where they're hurting and where they're not themselves. Over in Jeremiah 32:27, the Bible says, I am the Lord, the God of all the peoples of the world. Is there anything too hard for me? Is there anything? Can think of something that's too hard for God? I can't. And even if you threw a hypothetical out there, I'll bet he could do it. But the thing is that drugs ruins people's lives. And even like I said, with the musicians, I know some wanted to take acid and that and other types of drugs to expand their creativity. I mean, John Lennon wrote about it. There's been several that have. But I remember reading about Phil Keaggy. Phil Keaggy is one of the greatest guitar players in the world. And he says that he was dropping LSD to expand, his creativity. But when he played back a recording of his playing and singing, he said it was terrible. It was the worst he'd ever heard. But yet, that's what people were taking these for. Now, other musicians in that, they're on a grueling schedule. The record companies have them going all the time. They're up all night and they try to sleep a couple hours in a day, so they jack themselves up with cocaine in that to be alive. And then they'll take downers so they can go to sleep at night. And of course, you know what happens when you start mixing this stuff. You don't know what you're taking after a while, and then these overdoses occur. I just keep thinking of the different musicians and things that have gone through their lives and how that has affected them. I once did a show or recorded some music for a gentleman named Mylon LeFevre. Mylon LeFevre and the group Broken Heart. Mylon was an ex gospel singer. He wrote without him. His mom, Eva May LeFevre, was like one of the first ladies of gospel music. And the LeFevres, the singing LeFevres, his family, they were gospel legends. But Mylon went off to be a good artist, a really great artist in his own right in the rock world. And he was over in England, and he actually recorded with Alvin Lee from 10 Years After, and Mick Fleetwood did some recording with them, and Steve Winwood, and a lot of great players, Ronnie Wood, even from the Stones. But he was doing heroin, and he was ODing on the heroin. And he actually called his mom one night back in Georgia and was cried out to her, saying, Mom, pray for me. I am literally in hell. He felt like he was in hell, and God delivered him. See, nothing's too big for God. Anyone that's suffering right now and that has addiction and addictive personalities and things that are happening that you have to get rid of, turn to God. Ask him, deliver me from this. Come into my life and deliver me from this. Forgive me my sins. Please deliver me from this. And he will do it. Because as he said in Jeremiah 32:27, I am the Lord, the God of all peoples of the world. Is there anything too hard for me? I can honestly say there isn't. God bless everyone. Look forward to seeing you again for another morning cup of inspiration. Have a wonderful day.